Welcome, everyone, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is the ultimate pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans. And this is episode 116. I'm your host, collector, barber, and musician, and most importantly, a professional wrestling podcaster, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Booker Andy.
I'm also your host, the no-selling wrestling indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
Well, I am happy to say this is another week, episode 116. All three of us are here. We went out and had actually a really great dinner before the Royal Rumble. Got in a little bro time, ate some food, and then went back to our respective homes and watched the Rumble. But today we'll be discussing and reviewing this week's professional wrestling happenings, including, and unfortunately, Vince McMahon's new allegations and scandal, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes promo, CM Punk's injury, the Royal Rumble, and more. It was a tough week with wrestling all around. For WWE,
it had its ups and downs. Let's just say that
ups and downs.
It's been a roller coaster.
It's been a roller coaster of bad, and then I thought personally a pretty good pay-per-view, and then more bad news with Punk coming out of that. So we got some stuff to talk about. Stick around to the end of the show where I'm going to be talking about my classic pay-per-view of the week. Spoilers, we're in WrestleMania season. This week is going to be a classic WrestleMania. Before we start this week's episode, please go to youtube.com/@thepwfanpod where we kindly ask you to like and subscribe. That really helps us out. Everybody that watches us on there or listens to audio, we really appreciate all of you. For all other social media, all you gotta do is look up at the PW Fan, where we should pop right up. And if you want to represent and get a t-shirt, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/the PW Fan, where we got a bunch of different designs. All right, we got a big episode. This is episode 116. Andy, I'm going to pass it over to you. Start with whatever you want to start with. I mean, everything's kind of important and crazy, so wherever you want to start, we'll jump in with you.
So I want to get this out of the way. There's actually two parts to this, so I'll start with the first part. On Thursday, this past Thursday, the 25th, I believe, I'm going to cite the New York Times, but there are plenty other legitimate news outlets that reported this. So New York Times headline reads,
I think the Wall Street
Journal, there's
the Wall Street Journal, I believe, was the first one to break the story.
Gotcha. But the headline for the New York Times said, former WWE employee accuses Vince McMahon of sex trafficking. In a lawsuit, the woman says Mr. McMahon hired her at the pro wrestling company in exchange for sex and then abused her for years. I'm not going to get into too much details about this.
If you want to,
I do believe.
Let's just keep it real, because, like I said, this is the pro wrestling podcast for fans by fans. I'm going to talk like a fan real quick.
It's horrific, the stuff. So if you want to read on your own, I don't feel like talking about it.
I'm going to talk like a fan and not like a Dave Meltzer or whoever real quick. The shit is fucked up. If you want to read it and get the details on what happened, you can look that up. We're not going to talk about that on here. We'll give you some factual details, but yeah, it's not good. It's fucked up. And I'm going to talk to you I'm talking to you like a human, not like a podcaster or a wrestling media or whatever. No, it's messed up. So if you want to look it up, you can look it up. You can see what
just Google Vince McMahon, you'll find it. You don't have to look hard.
But the whole
I believe
lawsuit is available to read. It's like 63 pages.
I believe this is the same woman that had allegations that we talked about in a previous episode in 2022. But there's much more detail on this now. John Laurinaitis was mentioned, as he was also mentioned in the 2022 allegations, as well as Brock Lesnar.
Not by
Like Tim
name,
said,
but we need to
if you
say it's allegedly
not by
it's
name, but
allegedly Brock Lesnar, because in the lawsuit they say that allegedly, again, this is all alleged, that
former UFC heavyweight champion.
who was having his contract reworked on and going to re-sign at the time. So that's part of it. And then also Brock Lesnar was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble and he got pulled. If you want to put the pieces together, say what you will about that, but it is what it is.
The second part to all this, though, is I believe maybe it was the next day, and it could have been Saturday, but I think it was the next day, Friday. Vince McMahon stepped down from WWE and TKO. Vince McMahon no longer has any ties with the WWE or TKO. WWE has removed him from their website. He's pretty much been given the Chris Benoit treatment of you're gone, you know. And I believe this stemmed off of Slim Jim suspending their significant sponsorship, and it was
Slim
shortly
Jim
after.
saved the day.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, the response from TKO, they were right away seemed to be taking it very seriously, and then I think the Slim Jim sponsorship sped everything up even more. And so yeah, Vince McMahon is no longer with the company. And again, if you want to find more details about this part and what the board and CEOs and other executives are doing about it or plan to do about it, you can find it online.
So before we move on, because there's not much else to say except it's messed up and it's all out there. So we've told you about it. You can get on Google. You can find everything that you want to find. Trust me. There's screen caps. There's text messages. There's all kinds of stuff. But I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where for me, I'll close on the Vince stuff with this. First of all, it's it's crazy that the guy that really made pro wrestling, WWE, sports entertainment, what we know today is basically going to be blacklisted from his own company. Like Andy said, he's going to get the Chris Benoit treatment. It's going to be like this weird gray area of like, how did, because any kid that's like, let's say like a 7-year-old watches wrestling right now, like when I started watching wrestling, when they're older, unless they do research, it's like, how did the WWE get big? It's like, well, there was this guy and he did like allegedly did a lot of messed up stuff. So that's going to be Vince's story. At the same point, I was talking about this with Andy. I don't know why we're surprised with the allegations with Jimmy Snuka and allegedly Vince doing some sort of cover up with that, and then just weird storylines over the years that have been actually talked about. Stephanie, there was an angle where Stephanie said that he wanted her to be pregnant, and then Vince was going to be the father in an incest angle, and then the Katie Vick stuff, and all the poop humor. I'm not trying to be funny, honestly. Like, it just makes you like look back at a lot of that stuff, like, and you're like, it's not good.
Well, like we said when we were talking,
it hits a lot. It makes it hit a lot
surprising
different.
as Brock. Brock was more surprising.
Allegedly,
and it
Brock.
sucks that allegedly, again, not named specifically, but I'm assuming that's who they're talking about because there are no other WWE superstars that were UFC heavyweight champion.
Process of elimination.
Yeah,
if it is
that's
Brock,
not what it's talking about.
if it is Brock, he tarnished his legacy. And if it is Brock, you'll probably never see him again, considering he does not like people, and he'll disappear onto his farm.
In a different country where he'll never have to come back unless they make him.
In Saskatchewan.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of isn't a surprise at all, like you said, Tim, but I don't know. It almost feels like it kind of sucks because it just feels like wrestling for the most part has been like almost rooted in this. It's like that's how it was like founded almost
This
as
hurt.
the culture
Well,
before.
me and Tim were talking. It's like actually, it's unfortunately the entertainment industry. You can find this
Well,
in some
yeah,
way,
but
shape, or
like
form.
all of wrestling, every promotion has almost had an
Mhm.
issue like this.
And I will say,
Not probably to this extent of Vince, but
this is, and I don't know. Look, Vince doesn't listen to our show, but somebody else will probably say it. He's an embarrassment. He's embarrassing. He is embarrassing to like be a wrestling fan and like someone be like, I've had customers already when the stuff was announced that day be like, oh, I guess you heard about the Vince stuff, and they brought it up to me because they know I'm a wrestling guy, and I'm like, yeah, I heard about it, and it's he is an embarrassment to the thing that he basically created.
Let's cut that off from there, though. I don't want to talk about Vince anymore. Just don't.
Okay.
I don't want to, you know. Unless you guys got more to add, I just know I don't. It was horrific. He's left a stain on WWE at least for a little while.
He left a brown stain for sure. So let's take it from there and see what you want to say.
So this week was the Rumble. That being said, I want to get to that. That's going to be the bulk of the show. So the rest of the shows will kind of be quick, I guess you could say. Starting with Raw. Raw this past week opened up with Seth Rollins, who talked about his knee injury that we had mentioned in last week's episode that he sustained during his match with Jinder Mahal. And basically, he was saying that he would do everything in his power to compete at WrestleMania and defend his title despite his injury. During this promo, Gunther would come out and claim that he would win the Men's Rumble and challenge Rollins. I thought it was a really good segment. It actually had me believing there for a little bit that they were going to go a different way, especially when rumors that Sports Illustrated put out saying that Gunther was planning to win and face Rollins, and that the planned, or so we thought planned, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins match was not going to happen. But that was a strong opening segment. Moving forward, we had a Nia Jax promo that was interrupted by Becky Lynch as well as Bayley from SmackDown. Nia Jax started talking about her plans to dominate the Rumble. And like I said, Becky Lynch and Bayley ended up coming down. There was a little brawl between them, and I believe Nia Jax in the end stood tall to close out the segment. I mean, it wasn't that great of it, but it had to do with the Rumble, so I figured I'd mention it. The big part of the show was the CM Punk and Cody Rhodes face-to-face for the first time. Punk seems to be having promos since he's been back with people. And this week, him and Cody had a very good, explosive promo segment. These two talked about Dusty Rhodes, and they took digs at each other before Punk claimed to be more like his father than Cody is, saying he's more blue collar than Cody. Cody ended up, firing back, claiming that to be more CM Punk than CM Punk is. Some of the quotes I'm going to go through really quick are
really powerful back and forth. I thought this was really good.
So some of the quotes I'm going to go through. This is Punk talking about his time in OVW and Dusty telling him to watch over Cody. He said, when the American Dream asks you for a favor, you say yes. This, of course, would cause Cody to start tearing up. Cody Rhodes would say, we became friends, and that's what makes this so bittersweet. With their battle in the Rumble on the horizon. Like I said before, Punk said, "I'm more of the American dream than you are." Rhodes ended up saying, "When you left WWE, you didn't pass the torch, you dropped it. You know who picked it up? I did. Everything you spoke about, I did. When you talked, I walked. What's actually ironic is that makes me more CM Punk than you."
Damn.
Yep. So they both talked about wanting to finish their story. Punk said there was a much bigger star who came back and was ready to take away the finish the road story. And I guess he was taking a dig at the Rock stuff because he said, "I'm talking about me." So that was my favorite part of Raw. I assume you all agree as well.
Yeah, I think by far that was the best
It
part.
was great. Like I was saying before, I thought the whole segment was powerful. You can tell we're from the Northeast. I'm not going to tell you where. I don't want any of you freaks to know where we live. But based off this accent, you can take a guess where we're from. But no, like I was saying, I think it was great. I love the back and forth, and I hope, we'll get into it later. But I hope when Punk, comes back eventually, there will be a good like Cody Rhodes and Punk segment or feud or something, because they had some chemistry there. I would like to see more in the future.
Yeah, they never
speaking
actually
of Cody-
face each other, right? Like, at least this Cody.
Yeah, no,
Because
not
he
in
was like
AEW.
Stardust. Yeah.
Speaking of, he's out now, so I'll have to go back and watch his promo. But the main event overall was Drew McIntyre defeating Damian Priest. Let's get into Dynamite. Hangman Adam Page and his mustache defeats Penta. Then I believe it was Dynamite. I was trying to find this somewhere. Young Bucks had another backstage kind of segment where they're filling that asshole EVP role, which I said before, I'm all into.
It's just them.
Yeah, it's just them now. That's just their natural selves.
Yeah.
The Buckaroos. Tony Storm, Deonna Purrazzo, and Renee Paquette have an interview at the top of the ramp. If you've been watching, they're definitely going with Deonna and Tony Storm for the title. Again, talking about their past and whatnot. This was kind of a random match in my opinion, but we have Swerve Strickland defeating Jeff Hardy. I actually enjoyed the match. Again, Jeff came out with Matt this time, started to do the dance on stage, but stopped. And then Matt started doing the delete. So then Jeff was all about doing the deleting and not.
When Jeff has like singles matches, I feel like he's like a different person than he does in tags.
I feel like he wrestles a little better. For some reason, the tag matches don't seem to go his way.
Yeah.
And then, I hated it. Look, the crowd loved it. I sent Tim videos of this. I hated Adam Copeland versus Minoru Suzuki, man.
You knew what it was going to be.
I know. And I texted Tim, and people don't like this opinion when people say it, but I was like, can't believe Edge has lowered himself to this. Because
that's not lowering himself. It's a different style
of wrestling.
All right. Let's talk as three different styles.
And then Jeremy can defend. But...
Let's all hang on.
Yeah, but you can't say lowered himself. That's like you can say lowered himself by going to WWE because of Vince.
That's true. I just hate that style.
Let's just take a different approach.
I know he loved it. He probably loved it. Minoru Suzuki's a legend, but
no.
I just can't.
Okay, what did
it's just a different style though.
Jeremy, what do you think? Let's start with you. Edge throwing forearms.
I mean, he knew exactly what it was. It was going to be with.
I knew it was going to be
Suzuki.
Fight.
Yeah, him, and then they go back and forth all the time. But I mean, he's built as that person who's like a very strong style person who's going to have those back and forth.
Can you riddle me this? Why people like just the back and forth hit?
Well, first of all, it's pro wrestling.
The crowd's chanting, "This is awesome," and I was just like, "This to me is not awesome."
Fair.
I just like it's intense. It's intense. It has I don't know, more intensity than like a lot of WWE matches. I think
this is why you're the no selling indie wrestling fan.
Yeah, I just like all different kind of styles.
I'm neutral here, because I actually enjoy a lot of the Japanese style. Uh, in a weird way, Edge doing it, I don't know why, kind of felt, I don't want to say sad, but it kind of like bummed me out a little bit. And then I did see on a separate note that he
Why?
did.
Because he's lowering himself?
No, I'm not saying that. No one, you're saying that.
I know.
Yeah, I know, and I'm to be the neutral one for once. I did see where I guess Suzuki laid one in pretty good on Copeland, and Edge was like, "Oh hell no!" And he laid one hard back. I was like, "Damn!" Like there was a couple shots in there where they were really hitting hard. But look, my thing is this: if Edge Adam Copeland is happy and he wants to do this stuff because he's retiring soon, and it's good for him, as his fan, I'm gonna support it. But it did feel weird. It just feels, sometimes Edge is like, for me, like it still feels like Batman showed up in like an Avengers movie. Like it's cool, but you're like, man, this is weird still. So like I'm just getting used to it. I think it'll probably take a little bit
He is the
longer.
one who wanted that match. Like, I guess he told Tony Khan to see if he can get
I
it.
know he wanted it.
See, Booker Andy.
But it's not the first time you've heard us talk about that. I don't like that. I guess you could say I don't like strong style. Sure.
But that's what makes
Japanese strong style.
This show's good because we're all coming at it with a different perspective.
I came in hot there. I'm sorry, guys. I came in hot in the beginning.
It's okay. We forgive you. Andy was offended by Edge doing strong style forearms, which I can understand. But,
I don't understand.
Jeremy's like, this is all I've ever wanted. Man. Jeremy's like, all I've ever wanted was for Jeff Hardy to do strong style forearms. I guess.
Yeah, if he started doing it, I'm just. All right. Well, let's get into SmackDown. There was a opening segment with Randy Orton, kicking off the show, and AJ Styles would interrupt him, as well as LA Knight. This was all, hyping up their Fatal 4-Way. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I believe before we get too far into the show, Kevin Patrick was let go. Apparently, he was well liked backstage, but they just felt he didn't fit. Good, right guy, wrong position.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Basically.
He didn't seem like he fit what Raw then, right?
Yeah,
or SmackDown. I mean,
yeah, from SmackDown. See, Santos Escobar defeated Carlito. At the end of the match, Elektra Lopez would debut to the main roster and rip Zelina off the mat. If you don't know who Elektra Lopez is, when Santos was part of his group at NXT and he was leading it. It was called Legado del Fantasma. Elektra Lopez was the one woman in the group, so she has come back up to now join Santos again in his heel faction. The Kabuki Warriors defeated Katana and Kaden to become the new tag team champions. So now Damage Control holds the women's tag team titles as well as the WWE Women's Championship. Austin
that's a
Theory,
name that I didn't want Triple H to keep.
Kabuki Warriors. Yeah. Let's see. The Pride and the Final Testament had a segment together. So this is a ongoing story that will continue. A brawl, I believe, ensued. And then Austin Theory and Carmelo Hayes ran it back. They ran their match back that Austin Theory had gotten injured in. End of the match, Carmelo Hayes' buddy from NXT, Trick Williams, his music hit. huge pop. Trick Williams, if you don't watch NXT, is very much over, and his music is fun to chant to when he comes
Yeah, he
out.
has a good theme song. Like everyone knows it when he comes in.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it
was
just a lot of bass, and then people start chanting "Whoop that trick."
I was missing Booker on commentary for that because he does like an ad lib thing throughout the whole song, like on NXT. But he wasn't obviously doing that for SmackDown.
Yeah, I know Booker's a fan. And actually, I saw an old picture. He was he played one of the guards for Apollo Crews when he was with.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was one of like the guys dressed in like military uniform
Oh wow!
during the pandemic era in the
That's pretty
Thunderdome.
cool.
And the main event was LA Knight defeating Solo Sikoa. Randy Orton ended up coming out towards the end and would basically take out everyone, if I'm not mistaken. And that's how SmackDown ended. But it was all leading us to the Royal Rumble. And before we get to that, I'm going to talk about Collision. Felt bad for Tony Khan this week because Collision fell on the same day as the Rumble. And I feel like even maybe AEW hardcore fans probably like the Rumble, though, too, because it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's why people don't have weekend shows.
Yeah. It's
like, you're going to run into this all the time.
Yeah. So, Collision, I ended up watching it Sunday. Orange Cassidy would retain his international title against Commander. Roderick Strong is still on the hunt for it. Daniel Garcia was attacked backstage before his 6-man tag main event. Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page were supposed to be picking each other's matches. I believe for next week.
Yeah,
Swerve
Dynamite,
picked.
right?
Yeah, Swerve picked Toa Leona. I believe he's in Gates of Agony to fight Hangman. And Serena Deeb would win her first match back and cut a promo, basically saying that she's going for championship gold. And the main event was FTR and Daniel Garcia defeating House of Black in an Escape the Cage elimination match. So instead of their normal cage, this was a cage that had a door to it, and they could climb and go out the door. But it was an elimination, so at times there were odd numbers.
Yeah.
Of people, but Daniel Garcia and I think it was either Brody Lee or Malachi Black, but one was going out the door and one was climbing down the cage, and Mark Briscoe would slam the door on Malachi to stop him, and Daniel Garcia would hit first, but a little bit before that he was misted by Julia Hart.
Did you see Meltzer tried to say for this match that they changed it to eliminate or escape the cage because House of Black didn't want to take the pin, and then all of House of Black like roasted him on Twitter.
Yeah, people are saying, "Oh, Malachi refuses to."
Yeah, and all of House of Black was like, "Where do you get your news?"
Dude, Malachi's gone off about like dirt sheets before.
Yeah,
he's not a fan. Let's get into Royal Rumble. All right, before we get started, I really enjoyed the Rumble. I thought it was one of the best in a while. You go online, half the people loved it, half the people hated it. People are like, "This is the worst Rumble." It's like, do you not remember the 2022 Shane McMahon booked Royal Rumble?
I would not say worst Rumble. No,
dude,
that's the one Brock won, right? To face Roman in a champion against champion.
Dude, I've seen so many people commenting, being like, "Worst Rumble ever." I'm like, how can you say that? How can you
that's insane.
How can you honestly say worst Rumble ever as a definitive statement? That's insane.
Yeah, I think there was very high expectations for this one, and that's why maybe some people felt it wasn't as good. Like, I thought it was good; it wasn't like amazing, but I thought it was still a good Rumble.
This is a personal.
It feels
thing.
like everything was too good to be true, and now it's all falling apart, which is kind of what's happening with people getting injured and other stuff. But the expectations were very high going into this.
Yeah.
It's a personal thing in me. Some people thought it was bad because no legends returned. every time a legend returns, I'm like, he's not winning, and I just don't.
You didn't need.
I
it.
like surprise returns, like actual returns of superstars that were gone.
They have like so many people on the roster now; they don't need it.
And the
that
one
can fill the spots.
And the one big return that was going to get a huge pop was Lesnar, and he obviously couldn't be there for what's going on, and then Braun Breaker took his place. So it's not going to be this. So there was supposed to be some stuff.
I will say that I think this was the best women's Royal Rumble.
I was literally about to say that because that's what we're starting with.
I mean, they stole the show. The Rumble, their Rumble felt really.
It was a very strong women's Rumble.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Yeah, opening contest was the women's Royal Rumble. There were 4 matches total on the card. It started off with Natalya at number 1 and a returning Naomi to start the Rumble.
I love this.
Nice reaction to her.
Good,
the rumors
Naomi.
had gone around. She had recently lost her knockouts title. I believe she won at Hard to Kill and retained, and I was like, maybe she's not coming, but then she lost it to, was it Jordan Grace?
Yep.
Well, speaking of, the first surprise after Naomi was Jordan Grace. She was like number 5 or something. It was pretty early on.
Yeah, it's pretty early. Yeah.
Jordan Grace is, and I don't want to use his name, but she's like the Brock of women. She just
size
manhandled. Yeah, she's manhandled people. Yeah. We have to get specific of why she's like Brock. I actually had never seen her wrestle at all, and so I was super impressed. I feel like when her contract's up, WWE might have her eye on her if they hadn't already.
Yeah. The WWE also said when she came out, she wore the title around her waist, and then they also said on commentary that she's the TNA Knockout Women's Champion, which they put over. I believe
they did that too when Mickie James was the champion and popped in.
I don't. They never mentioned TNA because that was like a Vince.
It said it under her name.
Yeah, but like on like commentary, they never talked about it.
Tim, I know it was probably your first time. What do you think of Jordan Grace from TNA?
Well, first of all, I couldn't get.
She was in there a little bit.
She was in there a while. She looked like she belonged. She held her own, and not only did she look like she belonged, she looked physically imposing and impressive, next to even some of the bigger, more muscular women that were already in the ring. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if down the road, because even Triple H mentioned her by name at the press conference, and we'll get into some of that later. But obviously, it looked like she made an impact, and I thought she looked really strong, and that's just good for TNA, because look, we noticed it, right? And I'm sure a bunch of more casual viewers see TNA Knockouts champion, and then is like, hey, what's this? That's good for them. It gives them a chance for maybe someone to look something up.
Yeah. I also liked how when she came in, her and Naomi like obviously knew each other from TNA and just had a match. Hugged. And then immediately started punching each other.
But I said, bro, Triple H is doing like Inception levels of, he's doing a TNA storyline within a WWE Royal Rumble. Like he's a smart dude. Like he knows what's up, regardless of the response to the questions that I guess we'll get into later.
Booker Hunter.
I
know you're listening.
Booker Hunter, not so great at answering tough questions.
Serious question.
Well, speaking of women who were in physically imposing shapes, we finally got the debut of Jade Cargill.
I thought you were going to say that was someone else, but yeah.
No. Debut of Jade Cargill in the Royal Rumble. She came in and pretty much went right after Nia Jax, eliminating her, who Nia had been throwing women out left and right.
Yeah.
Thought it made her look really strong. There's mixed reviews of it. Some people didn't think she did well. Me and Tim were sitting there thinking she did really well.
Yeah, I thought the spot she came in was good.
I did read multiple places that apparently she's having trouble remembering stuff
Yeah.
while
I
in
mean,
the
she's
ring.
still learning.
But
Like,
I know Tim was impressed. Tim, what did you think of Jade's? You know, we've watched her in AEW,
First of all,
but she looks like a star.
I don't understand. I'm being genuine here because I brought it up the entire time that she was in the ring to Andy live as it was happening. I thought she looked great. I was like, dude, she's nailing these super kicks. She's like doing stuff off the top rope. Like, I thought she was, me personally, I thought she was killing it. And then Dave and, his crew was saying how, oh, she was missing spots and like looked sloppy. And I'm being genuine here. I don't see what they were talking about. I used to be very hard on her and was like, she's the woman Goldberg, and I thought she crushed it. Like, I thought she looked just as good as anybody else in that match. Me personally, I don't know if you guys. I thought she looked very strong.
yeah.
And
I
Jeremy,
thought
I'll
so
ask you,
too.
how did you feel about? It seemed like a little WrestleMania tease, possibly the standoff with Bianca and her. They
Yeah,
both
that'd be kind
were
of cool. I
doing
don't.
suplexes and.
Do you think? I don't know, like if she's ready for that stuff yet or not. Because like obviously, like in AEW was when she like very first started. You can like really tell that. But now she has a lot more training, and she looks so much better in the spot. But it was also a very quick spot. It was like what 10 minutes, 15 minutes. She was in there.
She just seemed. She
She was
just.
down. She was one of the last three.
She
One of
seemed.
those. Oh, that's right. Never mind.
But she
Yeah.
seemed much more confident. And I think for where she was in AEW in ring wise, even though she had the look, to what I saw, even if it was just for a few minutes in the Rumble, is night and day. Night and day. Like, just like it
I mean, I
reminds
also
Yeah.
feel like the Rumble can be chaotic for anyone, but
yeah, but it reminds me a lot
Yeah,
of
like the Rumble's a good spot for someone who's not
but
totally comfortable. Yeah.
she's gonna have, and this is my prediction, she's gonna have that Trish Stratus, Nikki Bella story arc where no one thought that she was like actually gonna be good in the ring. And then when she finally like has her moment, it's gonna be like, damn, she like Nikki Bella ended up being really good worker. Trish Stratus to this day, when she came back, still really good in the ring. I think Jade Cargill is gonna have the same
she's
thing.
better
Where,
now than she was back then.
yeah, but
Trish is better now.
I think Jade Cargill is gonna have the same thing where people were like unsure if she was really gonna be able to wrestle or not, and she's eventually gonna have it.
Well, I guess we'll
Is
see
she-
if they keep her on weekly TV now.
I mean, she was one of the final three, but she did come in at like number 24, 25.
Yeah. that's
But number
okay.
30 would be Liv Morgan. And
Back.
I think maybe the final four was Liv, Jade, Bailey, and maybe Becky. But the
Yeah.
final three were definitely Liv, Jade, and Bailey, who all three ended up on the apron, over the top rope fighting. Liv Morgan hit Jade Cargill with, I don't know if it was her finisher, but she hit her with a move. Jade fell out. Liv was laying on the apron. Bailey kicked Liv out of the ring, and Bailey won. And that crowd was hyped. Bailey is about to have a babyface run,
Yeah.
even though she's in
I-
damage control.
I thought this was the best match the crowd was hyped for. Like later on, I don't think there was.
I'm happy Bailey won.
Yeah.
I didn't know I would be. I thought Becky was going to win to face
No,
Rhea.
yeah, I'm glad she
still
won.
think
Yeah,
we'll
'cause
get
that-
there somehow.
Yeah. Maybe an elimination chamber or something, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think Bailey was the right call because by the response, definitely.
So that, Tim, you had something to add?
No, not for this.
Okay. So Bailey was your Women's Royal Rumble winner.
I think
Our first
my only thing
non.
my only thing to add is I think that the right person won. So
The first non-Rumble match of the night was our Fatal 4-Way: Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles versus LA Knight versus Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship.
I thought this was very
AJ rocking
good.
some new gear. He was rocking that TNA Evil Ways jacket with the gray hoodie inside of
the
it.
gray hoodie with the black leather jacket. If you're a longtime AJ follower, you know that look.
And he wasn't wearing just like those all black jeans and like boots. He was wearing like all black tights with. It was almost like a biker gang kind of font.
He was
and
paying
logos.
Yeah.
he was paying homage to the Aces and Eights thing, but also it looked like it was like a little callback to a lot of his darker TNA stuff.
Do you think something's gonna happen soon with like character-wise for him? Like,
I hope.
it doesn't seem like they've done anything yet.
They're building towards something. I don't know if it's a heel turn, but they're doing something here. I don't know what it is yet.
So the match itself, of course, Solo Sikoa would get involved, which I feel like he didn't need to. He really didn't need to based on the ending, but the match was fun. There was there was a lot of times where everyone in the match seemed like they were going to win it. Everyone ended up being stacked at one point. AJ almost pinned all of the stacked bodies. Roman did as well. Now, this is the first match where I thought there was an injury in the night, and Tim was watching with me. We thought Randy fucked up his shoulder when he was preparing, or I guess you could say vipering up. He was smashing.
Going
you remember,
psycho.
Tim? You said he's done it before.
Why is everybody
like he pulled it out of its socket?
Why is everybody made out of paper now? Everybody's made out of wet. Everybody's made out of wet paper, dude. They're just doing little things.
Throws his hands down, throws out his shoulder.
Yeah, no. Randy did this once before, where he does that thing where he slides down on his stomach and he smacks his arms on the mat to get like hyped up for the finisher. Well, he hurt himself I think it was like a couple times, like 10 years ago. He like tore his rotator cuff or something doing that. And then last night,
like his shoulder came out too.
Yeah, that last night he slid down and did that, and I noticed that first one was super hard, and then he kind of was like, "Oh," and then I noticed that the ones after that weren't very hard, and I think Andy noticed it too, and he was like kind of like more, I don't know, just like more like awkward.
He's not used to all that muscle that he has.
But I thought the match was fun. People were in and out. Roman would end up retaining. Everyone got their spots in. And Roman would end up pinning AJ Styles in the end. Next match, I ended up watching the next day because we had to pause it while I was at Tim's and I wanted to catch up later. I actually really enjoyed it. Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens. I enjoyed it, I think, more than I thought I would. In the end, Logan tried to get one of his friends to hop the barricade, give him brass knuckles, but his friend got booted and I guess dropped the brass knuckles, or maybe didn't have, I don't know. But then Austin Theory and Grayson Waller ran out. Austin Theory would give Logan Paul the brass knucks. Kevin Owens would end up getting them from Logan Paul and hit Logan Paul with the brass knuckles, go to pin, and as he's holding Logan's leg up, the ref sees the brass knuckles around Kevin Owens' hand, and KO gets disqualified. So Logan Paul retains. Afterwards, though, Kevin Owens was pissed off and ends up power bombing Logan Paul through the table. I was talking to Jeremy about this before we started recording. There was a video backstage where someone was trying to interview him. This dude had to be concussed or something, man. He tried to answer her question. He was just like, I think she was asking him about his next challenge. And he's like, whoever they want. And then he looks at her. He goes, I can't do this right now. And just walks away.
I was like, did no one check this guy before?
Yeah, dude. I was like, what the hell? He looked out of it.
That was bad.
Poor guy.
The ending I thought was like almost kind of funny with like the ref, because like the angle that they had it on too. On like him holding the leg with the brass knuckles and the ref seeing it on the 2 count. And then McAfee's like, what, the ref has 20/20 vision all of a sudden?
Yeah. So Logan Paul retains. A lot of people are thinking it's going to be Logan Paul versus LA Knight at Mania. Maybe LA gets his first. If it is,
he better
see
win.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then our main event was the Men's Royal Rumble. I'm just gonna go in some of the.
Well, I liked how it started, the first two. With Jay
Mark
and Jimmy.
this, Jeremy.
Okay. Okay.
Either someone has the TV too loud or they need to turn their headphones down, because I'm hearing
Hearing what?
one of us talk, or if the TV is loud. It's if no one has the TV volume on, then it's not the TV.
I don't have a TV.
Just
on.
letting you know. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything on either.
Then it's one of y'all's headphones, but it might be Tim's because you get close to the.
I don't even have anything.
Mic.
I don't have anything on.
No, I'm saying your headphones.
All right, I turn them
Me
down.
talking comes through your headphones, and then I think it comes through.
Okay.
All right, Jeremy. We are going to get
Okay.
into the Rumble. All right.
Let's-
So with the Rumble, I'm just going to go down. Well, first I'll start. I didn't write this down. I don't know why I didn't write this down. The Rumble started with number 1, Jey Uso, and number 2, Jimmy Uso. This caused a good reaction from the crowd. I know it was a good reaction from me and Tim as well.
Yeah, I liked it.
Tim, what you think? Jimmy, Jay, starting off?
Thought it was good. I also was thinking about this during the match that, they're twin brothers, but they really do feel like different characters now. Like it feels like they both can do their own thing and it's not weird.
Do you remember what Jay did? The moves that he was doing? Paying homage to
Yeah, he was doing
his dad
he
and
did,
The Rock, you
yeah,
said.
he did the Rock's punches. He did something for Rikishi. Those were the ones I noticed.
Tim's going to get sad as we talk about the Rumble.
I
as we get
I
later.
can't talk about the Rumble right now.
Come on, Tim. Get energized again. Our first surprise, though, was a returning Andrade from he's been in AEW the past couple of years.
He didn't get that much of a reaction as I thought he was going to get.
No, I mean, one, I didn't recognize his music. It wasn't the same music that he had.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, I heard the music and also like since you mentioned it, like, do you think the music now is very very much more generic? I've seen like the complaints about people saying this, but like the music for every wrestler now is like more generic than it was before, and like that's why most of the crowd couldn't immediately like recognize who came out.
Well, you know what I think, Tim? I think you need to write some music.
Yeah,
Write
Tim
some
could
theme
write some music
songs for the WW.
for it.
I'll be like, dun, dun, dun,
Send it their way.
dun, dun, dun,
Tim's like,
dun.
you want something generic? Let me
Let me
write
hit you. Dun,
Yeah.
dun,
Let me hit you with that
dun, dun,
that open chords. Those open notes.
But I think that was like part of the problem with like when the wrestlers came out, because they obviously don't have like the Titantron there behind them because it's the stadium show.
Yeah,
So
it was hard
everyone-
to see the way the high camera was. It was hard to see the names
who
on the
was.
ring, as
Yeah.
well as on the Titantron.
So it took a minute for everyone to be like, "Oh, it's whatever," or Andrade.
Yeah, if it was a song that you didn't recognize right away,
Yeah.
it was like a delayed reaction. We had Carmelo Hayes, who had a nice reaction, and he crushed it in the Rumble. Man, I thought he looked great from NXT.
Yeah. He looked really
I was
good.
telling Tim because I don't think Tim, you really had seen much of Carmelo before.
He was, I thought he was good.
Do you remember? And then I believe, what was he, number 20, 21? So like Tim said before, Braun Breaker from NXT ended up replacing Brock in the Rumble, or so it was told. So, online has been saying. And I guess all the same spots were basically done by him, including who he was eliminated by. And that was Dominic Mysterio, meaning Brock was supposed to be eliminated by Dom. So I
That would have
read,
been hilarious.
and they were supposed to have Dom versus Brock at Elimination Chamber. I wish that was happening,
Man.
but Brock, if it is Brock, allegedly, is his comeback.
Yeah.
He's allegedly a
That would have been
scumbag.
hilarious seeing Dominic. Yeah, yeah. Imagine Dominic eliminated him. I mean, that would like just a funny picture to see.
So Jeremy, you seem to think that because I haven't seen it been confirmed, but Braun is now basically on the roster quietly. Do you think they just continue that storyline and have Braun?
Dominic?
I mean, they're not familiar with each other. They've been in NXT, especially when Dom was North.
I mean, they could make it work.
Champion of the North, but
yeah. For like his first feud on the main roster, I think that's not a bad one.
There was a video that came out earlier that day with Punk training with Braun and Carmelo and Trick and
I mean, Braun looked really good too.
And Lexus King, aka Brian Pillman Jr. It must have been weird for Punk to see him.
It'd be like,
hey, you're not the jock anymore, man.
Yeah. Oh, and then also, like, was it right after Braun and then Omos was in the ring, and then Pat McAfee was actually the next one after that, I think. It's the surprisingly to him.
Well, Jeremy must have my notes in front of him because that was the next surprise I had written down. Pat McAfee, who came out at the beginning of the show.
Way up your ass as far as they will go. Even
okay.
And the thickest top goes down your throat, so it makes you gag and convulse as those.
Oh my God.
Feels like you start being assaulted.
What Tim has to explain this for the people that are listening.
One continuous constant orgasm.
I thought we weren't going to go into details with stuff, and now Tim has to explain what.
Sorry.
Tim sent me that at 1 a.m. It's like he woke up from his sleep and was like, I gotta
somebody took the Vince alleged texts and ran them through the Vince McMahon AI. The voice. And it's terrible.
Oh my God!
Because it's exactly how I heard it in my head.
So what Tim was playing was basically the word for word some of Vince's disgusting texts.
This is not a children. This is not an episode for children.
We almost were there until he started playing that. So
yeah.
I was laying in bed at 1 a.m. I was like, what is this? And it just starts going off loud as shit. This is the last thing I heard before bed.
That's hilarious.
You couldn't help yourself, could you?
I had to. I'm sorry.
3 black cocks. All right. So, like Jeremy said, Pat McAfee stood up from his desk. I think he was out there the entire show, right? Or just from the beginning?
Yeah, it was doing commentary.
The whole show?
Yeah, and then they play. He explained it on his show the next day where he was like, I had no idea that I was in the Rumble. And they just play his music.
Well, he really didn't do anything. If you want,
he was like, I was in cowboy boots. He's like, and then there's Omos in the ring. He's like, I'm not doing it.
He stood on the. What is that, Tim?
We don't need any more Vince in this.
Is it a book though? I don't.
The DVD. The McMahon.
Oh,
documentary.
I was telling Tim, I wish this Netflix Vince McMahon doc that's coming out or whatever
would have waited.
Would have waited. now we'll just have to wait for the Dark Side of the Ring episode.
Yeah.
Just the whole last season of Dark Side will just be all Vince.
Yeah,
let me ask you guys, was anyone, so Punk came out at 27, was anyone disappointed at all with number 30?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like everything is going to be a disappointment if it's not someone big, like huge.
Dude, I was
Who
ready.
Would you have won if it wasn't Sami Zayn?
I was ready for it to come crashing down and hurt inside. It got to be a man I don't have to hide. If you hurt my friends, then you hurt my pride.
They're playing an Andrade video package. Got to take a stand.
I am a real American. Fight for the right.
It was awful enough to have him doing the voiceover for it.
You guys watching?
He was like, "Let me tell you something, dude.
Andrade.
Tonight the Royal Rumble, brother. It's gonna be a long.
I really hope they book Andrade better.
Yeah, I
than
hope
Vince
so,
did.
too.
He was when Triple H was running NXT. He booked Andrade great. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I wouldn't doubt that they put him in the Elimination Chamber
Yeah, that'd be good first match for him, or like his second match, but
now that somebody's out.
yeah.
But now that we're on Punk, though, so sorry, number 30 was Sami Zayn. I was telling Tim during it, I was like, what if MJF just came out? That's who I wanted.
I
Number
know.
30 wasn't gonna happen. That dude is in AEW.
It was like
Let's
MJF or
just
The
face
Rock,
it.
or everyone's gonna be like disappointed.
Some people, I mean, look, some people love that Sami was out there. I almost forgot that he was an option.
Yeah, me too.
And Tim's about to play us something now. He's playing us Hulk Hogan's theme song. Yeah.
I kind of hate how catchy it is.
And cut. I said, cut, damn it.
I said, turn this off. If you keep going.
And stick it in your hole.
All right, God.
All right. So
Jesus.
Punk is in there. The final four is Punk, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, and Drew. Drew hits a aftershock DDT on Punk. Punk starts grabbing his right tricep.
I wasn't well
Turns
here.
out tonight.
Turns out I was about $13,000 and CM Punk getting hurt in the hole at this point. So in all seriousness, he takes the DDT, and I said to Andy, he grabbed his arm. He's not selling his head. Something's wrong. And Andy's
And then he goes to the corner.
He goes to the
talking to
corner
refs.
and he's talking to the girl ref. And then like two more refs come over, and I look over at Andy and I'm like, it's not good. I was like, something's.
Then he starts using his arm. So we're
and then
like,
he's throwing
maybe it's
forearms.
just-
So then we're like, okay, maybe he's okay. Maybe he just had a stinger or something.
And then a whole day went by, and we hadn't heard anything until today. So that being said, before I get to the very end of the match, so I'm just gonna, since we're talking about Punk, Punk is injured, and he announced tonight as we're watching Raw that he won't be at WrestleMania. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the same injury, same arm that he sustained in AEW.
Yep.
But in AEW, did he get hurt during the match or during the brawl out?
During the match. Yeah.
And then probably made it worse during brawl out. But
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
hungry,
with this
I'm
tricep.
hurt, and I'm surrounded by children. So yeah, Punk is hurt. So it came down to Punk eliminated Drew, as he said he was gonna, and then it came down to Cody and Punk, and they went at it for a little bit. Some people complained online that it was slow and too long.
I thought
People
it was
also shit on CM Punk as always.
I thought
and
it was
his wrestling
awesome.
ability.
Everybody was, dude. He wrestles the same way he always has. Go back and
Everyone's
watch
like, Punk's slow. Punk's an old man.
Go back and watch any CM Punk match.
He looks the
from
same to me.
10, 15 years ago. He wrestles exactly the same. He was never doing front flips. He was never doing any of that stuff.
I know. You know what cracks me up too was like the people who were like, "Man, he looks great for not wrestling in like 10 years." And I was like, "Guys, he was like wrestling like 6 months ago."
Yeah. At Wembley Stadium.
But the
Yeah, the Wembley Stadium.
but the dude, he wrestles exactly the same how he always has. There's even a whole segment in his old DVD where it talks about how he is a little clunky. He doesn't have good footwork, but you know he's still like a good.
Yeah, he says it himself too.
Like it's always
He's not the most coordinated.
guys. He's always been this way. You're remembering something that's not real. Like you're remembering like him like being like Neville or something.
Perfect wrestler.
Like it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Go back and watch his stuff.
Yeah, like one of his best matches was against Cena at Money in the Bank, and he
it's a
messed
slow,
up,
methodical.
I think, the GTS.
Yeah, it's like a slow, methodical match. Like it's not like it's wrestling. CM Punk does wrestling. He's not a Young Bucks like flipping guy. I'm like, I don't know what you all think you remember, but it wasn't like that.
So Cody Rhodes and him are going at it, as a couple of
Punk hit a pedigree.
couple guys do, and Punk hit a pedigree, and which was surprising. I don't know if it was to poke fun at the Cody and Triple H stuff, or
Yeah.
I don't know what it was for, but I've never seen Punk do
Yeah.
it. He hit that. What do you say? I didn't come back after 10 years to lose Dusty's kid.
Yeah.
Is that what he yelled?
That was funny. That was a good line, yeah.
He got Cody up into a GTS. Cody reversed it and threw Punk out. Cody won the Rumble 2 years back to back. Does a little tribute to the Bullet Club, and then points directly at Roman up in the stands and basically calls his shot right then and there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Royal Rumble. I'm not mad about the winner.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of happy
Especially
about
now with Punk, I guess, getting hurt. It would suck if he had won and then he...
But I don't. In my head, Punk was never winning the Rumble. He was gonna do something else with Seth separate. So I think
he would win the Chamber. And earn his shot.
I think Cody winning was the right call. And honestly, now that Punk's not gonna be there, which, dude, because we're all gonna be there. I would be so happy if he just came out and just talked to us. You know what
That's what I was telling Andy earlier.
Can you just come out?
I was like, he just needs to make an appearance.
Can you just come out and talk to everybody? Like, it doesn't. It sucks you can't wrestle, but you gotta. Can you just come out and say hi to everybody? Like that would make my night. That would make my night. I'd be doing this.
Yes.
So, God, no, I don't know what I was going to say because I don't want to move on right now. Oh, what percentage are you 50-50 on Cody finishing the story? Or, dude, if Roman retains again while we're there, I'll just...
No, I think it's... Me personally...
He needs to win.
I think it's time. It's time.
Yeah.
Cody...
He needs to win at Mania.
And I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the Cody era of WWE with...
Look,
I was ready for it last year.
Mm-hmm.
Rock likes long-term builds. What if he pulls what he did with Miz and Cena? Roman's not winning super cleanly. Comes out, Rock bottoms Roman. Cody wins. Set up for next year's Mania like they did with Cena. Just rinse and repeat, long-term.
I like it. The only thing that's like, you're taking away...
Does it tarnish Cody's win?
You're taking away the clean win from Cody. But it is a win-win for everybody. Cody gets the belt, and then that leads into the head of the table match, like you're saying.
But if Roman wins, just...
If Roman wins...
If Roman
wins...
wins...
video of the guy just like...
If Roman wins this year, I'm just going to be like, I don't understand.
He's going to be champion forever.
Don't forget, Triple H said that whole third inning stuff last WrestleMania. So, it's coming up. It's been
I don't want to hear that.
I wonder what inning we're in now. If last WrestleMania was the third inning.
He's like, this is 4.
It better be like the 8th inning, right?
Yeah, seriously. We need to be at the end.
Yeah.
I saw a guy on TikTok talking about he's like Roman should win, and then Cody finishes his story right after the New Year when they do Madison Square Garden, and he finishes his father's story in the arena at Dusty. You know what I'm saying?
It's fine.
Yeah, but also he just needs to win at Mania.
Just fucking win at Mania.
It has to be Mania, dude.
I'm with Jeremy.
It has to be at Mania because we're watching. We're going to be there. So it has to be
Cody
there.
holds it all year, and Punk wins the Rumble and comes back and beats Cody at next year's Mania in the main event.
Yeah, that's perfect.
But we won't be there.
Yeah. I mean, we could, but
I'm so pissed off that
Do you guys want to talk about the press conference at all?
No,
we can mention it.
I mean, yeah.
Well,
the only
First thing I'll talk about is Cody.
Yeah, Cody was good.
Cody talked about he's like I was sent a lot of memes. He was kind of hurt, man. You could tell
Yeah.
about The Rock and Cody crying and The Rock finishing the story, not Cody. And he basically said he's like, believe it or not, he's like, I'm the guy.
I love this.
And that's pretty much what he
That's
said.
good.
I love that he.
That's good.
I love that he finally basically told everybody to go fuck himself, and he's like, "It's my time
Yep.
now,
Yeah.
and I'm the guy."
Yeah.
Which he is. He's the chosen. He's the right person.
Then
look,
we had Cody, we had Bailey.
We don't know the guy, right? But he works hard. He seems like a good human being. I mean, we don't know him, but he seems like a good human being. I'm like, he's. I feel like
Triple H gave him the props.
He's the guy.
He's like he really lives and breathes this. And then so I'll let you guys go into Triple H and your opinions because it was only Cody, Bailey, and Triple H that talked.
I can just say. I'm sorry. I was just going to sum it up.
Triple H was asked 3 times about the stuff. He started off with saying, I think the first time he was like, I'm just trying to focus on the positives. Because someone asked Cody about it too, about there being
Cody
a
answered it really
dark
well.
cloud. Asked him about being there was a dark cloud, but so yeah.
Cody acknowledged it and was like,
and then Tim can take us out
and all that stuff. But I'll just say real quick with Triple H thing, it just felt like remember like Tony Khan in the last press conference where he was answering serious questions like with that stupid hat and everything on, and then it felt like Triple H channeled Tony Khan and like, it was a great show, guys. That's what I'm focused on. Raw's on 8:00 tomorrow or on Monday.
It wasn't as dismissive though as Tony Khan has been.
No, I know, but it felt like the same way as in like he's like, I'm focused on the positive. We sold out the arena and everything. I was like, you're not like this, Triple H. Don't be like that.
He's like, guy, it's my father-in-law.
Well, and that's the thing.
Thanksgiving next year is going to be weird.
It's not just his father-in-law, though, guys. Like,
of course,
you gotta come at it from the perspective of it's his father-in-law, it's his wife's dad, it's his kid's grandpa, it's his.
Yeah, it's for him. It's a personal, complicated situation. It's not just a business.
Brother-in-law's kid's grandpa. It's bad situation for him to talk about. Now, I will say this. Since I personally think they should have canceled this, I don't think they were ready to answer the type of questions that were going to be asked. But because of that, though, and they decided to go through with it, I do think that Triple H should have had a little bit more. He came off a little cold and a little dismissive and a little like, I don't have time to talk about this because we got so many cool things happening. I think maybe a PR person maybe should have sat with him and said, look, this is some serious stuff. Here's some stuff that you can say. Here's some stuff that you can't. Do the best you can. But it did feel... I just don't think this one should have happened. And I think they should have canceled it, and everybody would have assumed, like, okay, well, obviously, they're not.
I think like the main thing that he shouldn't have said was that he didn't read the lawsuit or he didn't know anything about it. And I was like, okay, well, that's just very dismissive in that way. Like he's on the board of it, so
he's like, I don't have time to read 60-some pages. I'm playing the Rumble right now.
Yeah, I'm like, you're on the board though. Like, you know everything.
He's like, you want to talk about the text messages? He's like, I'll read you the text messages.
Here, I'll pull him back up real quick.
No,
we're not gonna do that.
Sorry.
Tim, take us out with like a Rumble.
Well, it wasn't a Rumble.
What's your classic?
I didn't pick a classic Rumble. I picked a classic WrestleMania, and it's WrestleMania 5. And the reason why I picked it is because, again, we're on the road to WrestleMania, and I thought that this week was kind of dark and weird. So I wanted to go back to a time where wrestling seemed fun and childlike and not super dark and weird. So WrestleMania 5. This is before all of our time, but let me take you back some old classic wrestling characters. Opening match, King Haku, who some people refer to as the baddest man in history in pro wrestling. Apparently, he would gouge your eyes out in a bar if you mess with him. So King Haku versus Hercules. The Twin Towers, Akeem and the Big Boss Man against the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. Brutus the Barber B-Case versus Ted DiBiase. The Bushwhackers versus the Fabulous Rougeau. Fabulous Rougeaus, excuse me. Mr. Perfect versus Blue Blazer, a.k.a. Owen Hart. Demolition, Action Smash against the Powers of Pain, the Warlord and the Barbarian. Dino Bravo against Ronnie Garvin, the Brain Busters. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard against Strikeforce, which is Tito Santana and Rick Martel. Jake Roberts against Andre the Giant. Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart against against Rhythm and Blues, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and the Honky Tonk Man. Sorry, I can't read tonight. Rick Rude versus the Ultimate Warrior. Bad News Brown versus
So upset about Punk.
I know. I'm all discombobulated. Bad News Brown versus Jim Duggan. The Red Rooster against the Brooklyn Brawler. And finally, dear Lord, this was a long one. The main event, and the reason why I picked it, because it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. Hulk Hogan against Randy Savage.
He's a real American.
So go enjoy some classic 1980s pro wrestling. Thank you for joining us for episode 116. I sincerely hope that next week we will have a more positive show to talk about. It's been a dark week of pro wrestling. The Rumble was fun, but between the Vince stuff and Seth being hurt, now Punk being hurt, it's just been But hopefully things get back on track, and we will see you all next week for episode 117. Have a great week, and go enjoy pro wrestling.